So I wasn't sure if I was actually going to film this video or not, but I decided that I might as well anyway. I just wanted to go over some of the things that I do personally with my own car for winter storage. I realize that some people may do things differently, and that's fine. There's no one right way or wrong way for how to store your car for the winter. A lot of it's personal preference. And just for clarification, still the middle of winter, and it's like 25 degrees out. So if I start shivering, that's probably why, because it's pretty damn cold today. But to start out, some of this stuff you guys know about. I'll start with, don't mind these, this plastic is just for the brake project that I'm doing so I don't get stuff all over the carpeting. I have tire savers on the front, in the rear, and that is to keep the tires from getting flat spotted during storage. And I have these on all four corners as well. So that's one thing that I do, is I didn't want the tires to get flat spotted, even though it might happen, it might not, but I figured for the cost of tire savers, it was worth just using them and not having to worry about it. Along with that, the pressure in all the tires is put up to the max PSI for each one. So that also helps with flat spotting of the tires as well. We'll go over here to the interior. The car is jacked up right now and the driver's side door doesn't like to open very well, so we'll do the passenger side instead. If you go inside, you notice that it is pretty dark in here. You see these little packets. Those are moisture packets that I use just to keep from the car having that like really musty smell after it's been sitting a long time. And I have the windows cracked as well, just for ventilation, because I don't want to start it up in the spring and have that old stored smell of just how it, you know how it is. I'm sure you've had that smell before, like real old stuff that you find. And I didn't want to run into that when I started up for the first time in the spring. Also, you will notice that I have a Genius 5 battery tender, and that is hooked up all the time, so the battery will stay charged all winter long. And I don't think I showed you guys that have watched the channel regularly, but that's the cap after I flipped it upside down, so it sits more flush, because I was having hood clearance issues. And the one thing that I did do that I had to make this fit, see a little plastic vent up there? It has a cover right there. This one has it, that one doesn't. I took that off because it helped with the hood clearance a little bit. I don't know if I think that probably was most of my problem, was that little plastic piece up there. But I took that off. It's the original Ford part, so I took it off and set it off to the side, so I'll always have it. So I want to keep as much of the original parts on this as possible. One other thing that I did, the gas tank has stable on it, and I'll let it run for a while to get it through the system, and that helps with the octane staying at a certain level throughout the winter, so it doesn't lose too much of an octane level. But even with that, the first time I go to drive this for the year, until I get that entire tank burnt off, I'm not really going to hammer on the car too much until I get fresh fuel with a full tank of new fuel in it. It's just better to do that. I already have my brake upgrade part 1 video, and that's the coilover suspension for those of you that may not have seen it yet. That's the Maximum Motorsports Race 3 suspension, and also that's that little mod that I did to keep the banjo bolt from leaking brake fluid everywhere until I can get the calipers back from powder coating and back on the car. You'll notice there's some mouse traps, various places, the glue boards. I covered this in a different video, so I'm not going over that. I'll put a card linked in the video if you want to watch that, as far as mouse control, as far as stuff that works and does not work. Last two things that I really wanted to cover, speaking of cover, nice segue, huh? You'll notice there is no car cover on it. I said in a video a few months back that I was waiting on the tire savers and the car cover and it'll be all set for winter. Well, we're in the middle of winter, probably past the halfway point right now, and no car cover. So you're probably wondering why. My personal opinion, car cover does nothing except keeping dust off the car for the most part. I'm not worried about things falling on the car. There's nothing along my back wall that's gonna damage the car or anything like that. So also in another video I stated that I plan on getting one of those car capsules. It's like the plastic bubble that goes around the car for the wintertime that you store it and don't have to worry about rodents getting in or anything like that. I decided that spending $200+ on a car cover and then spending $700 on the car capsule the following year, which would be this year, 2021 is when I plan on buying that for the next winter. It didn't make any sense to spend the money on the car cover, and you can see that this is just absolutely coated with dust, isn't it? Yeah, I'm just kidding, there is no dust on it. So what's the point of the car cover and spending money on it? Because it doesn't get dusty in my garage. The driveway's paved. I don't get dust when I pull in, even during the wintertime, and even if it did, the ground's frozen anyway, even if it was dirt, so it wouldn't even matter. It's not going to kick up any dust. So the car cover really doesn't accomplish anything, so that's why I decided not to do it. And the last thing that I wanted to talk about as far as winter storage goes, this is an extremely hot button issue that I've come across. It's come up in comments on my own channel when it wasn't even about this topic to begin with, but the issue of starting the car versus not starting the car during the winter months. I'm on the side of not starting it. I don't believe in a span of 4 to 6 months that there's going to be detrimental damage to the car by it not being started. You can find articles online that support both sides of that. Ones that say do not start it, you don't have to. Ones that say you should. It all depends on what you want to believe. My assumption is that this is a newer car. Yes, it's 18, 19 years old, but I mean newer as in a modern car. This isn't a carbureted 1960s something car where you're going to have possibly things going wrong with not starting it or anything like that. Project cars sit for long periods of time, either with engine problems, people that are modding the rear end, modding the transmission, doing body work on the car. Cars sit for long periods of time without being started. I don't feel as though 4 to 6 months is really going to hurt this car at all. People may be completely against that, and that's perfectly fine. But one thing that people have to remember is by me not starting my car, it doesn't affect them in any way. And someone starting their car all winter long, it doesn't affect me in any way. And people seem to get really butthurt when they don't do things the way that they personally do them. That's just too bad. As long as I'm paying for the car and paying for mods on the car, I'll do what I want with it. So anyone that feels like leaving a comment of, oh, you should be starting your car. Well, no, I'm not going to. So it doesn't matter what you think, because it's my car, it's my money, and I'll do what I want with it. So that pretty much covers it. I just wanted to kind of do a quick video on what I personally do with the car during the wintertime. I did have some dryer sheets in there. Most of those have been taken out. That was for rodent stuff, but that's covered in the other video as well. There's really not a lot you have to do with these in the wintertime as far as I'm concerned. This is not the first Mustang that I've stored in the wintertime. I've had 6 total. Out of the 6, only 1 was driven in the winter. So all of them have been stored, and I've stored all of them the same way. Stable, don't start it. When I go to start this in the spring, I'm going to put the gas pedal all the way to the floor and crank it over, because when you put the pedal all the way to the floor, it does not allow fuel to go into the engine and fire over. It will crank, and it puts it starts oiling the engine again. It starts pumping in oil and all that stuff, but it won't fire over. So basically you're getting all the lubrication back, any places that it may have settled down from during storage. And once you do that a few times, start it up normally. And I've always done that, and the first time that I went to actually start it, it's always fired right up, never had any problems. And I don't expect this to be any different from any of the other cars that I've stored throughout the winter. And hopefully it's not stored much longer. I'm filming this at the beginning of February, so I'm hoping that late March, early April, everything's turned around and I can get this maybe on the road in late March, early April. We'll have to see. But that's it for now, everyone. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions about anything, leave it in the comments. I always get back to people. Thank you very much for watching. Until next time.